Guys, let's get started. This Zoom meeting is being recorded, so mind your P's and Q's, okay? We're going to be publishing. So we just put a few announcements on the screen just to keep you informed on what we know at the moment. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Can we proceed? Okay. So Jonathan, over to you. Could you give an update on our COVID-19 efforts to date?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tony. So we thought it would be a good idea to kick the meeting off with some positive news, even though the COVID-19 pandemic has been really challenging for many of us in many different ways. One of the really nice things about our neighborhood and our neighborhood association and everybody that's involved is there's a lot of active participants, whether it's showing up to a park cleanup, attending a meeting, or even donating directly to our nonprofit organization or purchasing a tree in one of our holiday tree sales. So the organization is really fortunate to have a healthy account where we can use funds to support different neighborhood activities. And one of the things that the board had thought about doing at the onset of the pandemic was finding different ways that we could support our local organizations, our restaurants, our first responders. So what you're looking at right now is just a snapshot. It's not an all-inclusive list. It's a growing list of different organizations that we have made a combination of financial contributions, whether it was a direct donation to the South End Feeds or to Haley House as an example, or supporting different restaurants by purchasing gift cards and meals for different first responders and different folks at the Boston Medical Center and South End Community Center and our friends at D4 to thank them for their efforts during this time and as a way to positively stimulate some of these businesses, which we all know are struggling right now. So this list we hope will continue to grow. These organizations are representative of some of the ones that we've engaged with so far. And we're really excited to be able to support them and be in a position to support them. And if you have any ideas or suggestions on other businesses or other organizations in our community where we can offer some support, we'd love to hear it. We're definitely open and we're trying to stick together during this difficult time and show some positive activity.
Thanks, Jonathan. Do you know how much we've donated to date? I'm just curious. Do you know, yes. or Matt? Or Matt, do you know?
We have donated just over across these organizations just over $13,500. So a pretty significant amount of money coming from, again, contributions and donations from people within the neighborhood association, as well as the proceeds from our tree sale.
That's awesome.
So a big thank you to everybody for that, because it's a substantial amount and makes a difference for these organizations.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Okay. So I don't know. We do have Councilor Frank Baker joined. I'm not sure if City Councilor Anissa Sabi-George has been able to join. Can anyone tell? We might come back to this agenda item if she joins late. We wanted to see if we could get an update on, MassCast 2.0. And if anybody would like to raise or any topic around this, we can address it now, or we can put the comments in the comment section and come to it at the end if City Councilor Anissa Sabi-George joins. What's your preference? This is to the neighborhood. You're welcome to put comments in the comment section. Okay, should we come back to it?
Yeah, Tony, I think we come back to it at the end. I can add some commentary on this as well.
Okay, so another happy update. We want to talk about our squares. So we did a poll. It was quite fun. Matt ran a poll for us at our last meeting, and I don't know what the options were, but it was almost it was a very decisive victory for the human quadrant. So we got to work, and we worked with FASA, we worked with Parks Department, and we got that human quadrant just looking a lot more official. If any of you have seen last year and the year before, we worked on, just these temporary signs, and that didn't work so well, and a lot of people just didn't take them very seriously, but we feel like there's a lot of traction with our sandwich boards, which have got very official city marking on it because it is a supported project by Parks Department and the city. And what we have found is that, and anybody here can comment, but from my perspective, there is much more mixed use in the squares. It isn't a dog park, and there's a lot more balanced feedback on social media about the parks, and I think it's been a solid success. That's my opinion, and we would love your help if you come to Tidy Up Tuesdays, and we clean up the trash, we pick up the needles, and please just get involved. We need your help. So the social media comments are interesting, but sitting at a keyboard and having an opinion about how the parks are being leveraged isn't nearly as effective as partnering with us. So we believe it's a success. Does anyone have any other opinions or things that we need to take away from this meeting?
Sure, I can share.
Chloe.
My name is Chloe Voigt. I live right across the street from Blackstone. Actually, I'm staring at it right now.
Awesome.
I have 3 children, and we have been trying for the past 12 to 13 years to use that park more and more. And now that there really is that human quadrant, we now use it on a more regular basis to make sure that it's known that more people want to use that park. So I just want to say thank you so much for putting up those signs.
Thank you, and we want to thank you for going and using those quadrants. We really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I mean, ever since they've been put up, we've been trying really hard to make an effort every day to go out there, even if it's for 20 minutes with our soccer balls, or just playing races, or if you're in that park a lot. My daughter is the one that flies the kite.
Wonderful.
She's been trying to fly a kite for many weeks now. So she's running back and forth a lot with her kite. So we do use it and really try and use that section as much as possible. So thank you so much.
That's awesome, Chloe. We really appreciate it, because unless the non-dog owners are in the parks as well, we're not going to get that balance, right? So we love the dog owners, and we do understand things are not always amicable, but if we all try and collaborate with the parks, I think we're going to have a much better long-term outcome. Honestly, it has been a joy to watch people who have families, people who want to sunbathe, just do it on any quadrant. Right. But having that quadrant just makes it kind of official in one section at least.
Absolutely agree.
Thank you, Chloe. Anyone
Tony,
else?
If I may.
Corey.
Hey everyone, I'm Corey. I live on the corner of Mass Ave and Harrison. I also work for State Representative John Santiago. So any issues at the state level, feel free to throw them my way. I'll leave my email in the comment box. I do probably 2, 3, 4 weekly runs through Blackstone just to keep an eye on things. And I think the human quadrant's been looking absolutely wonderful. Every time I've gone by, it's just been a wonderful sight to see. Tons of people out there, everyone enjoying it. And I can also personally attest to how much fun Tidy Up Tuesdays are.
You pick up needles with us, you pick up trash. We appreciate your support.
It was a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it to anyone else. I'm going to try and get back out there as soon as I can.
Thank you, Corey, so much. and the quadrants on both sides. And if you're worried about the grass quality on the Franklin side, the important thing is, and we need to get the message out there, is that the grass doesn't grow as well in Franklin because the trees, there's so many more trees, the pH level of the ground is more conducive to trees than it is to grass. So the pH level in Blackstone is more favorable to the grass, and the pH level in Franklin is more conducive to trees. So it is unfortunate that the grass quality isn't as good on Franklin, but please go ahead and use Franklin as well. Try your best.
Tony, just a quick question. Are you guys generally seeing a lot of compliance, or are you seeing some of the same conflict that you've been experiencing in years past?
There's still the same social media debates that go on and on. I mean, Jonathan can weigh in, Matt.
People wanting you to kind of appreciate and make a determination to ban dogs,
It's still the same fight for leash and off leash. And Chloe, you had something.
Yeah, I'm an avid argumenter on Facebook about the off leash and on leash, and I will say, I think having the human quadrant is really important. I understand that people have dogs and that they wanted to put their dogs off leash. So as one of those avid argumenters, I don't think that it necessarily needs to be that no dogs are in the park, but having a quadrant where there's no like residual feces from picking up after, I just think is really important. So,
it's a start, right, Chloe?
Right, it's a start. And I by no means, I mean, personally, I don't think that I, don't want to see any dogs or anything like that in the park. I think, but the more we can get people to help train their dogs to try and stay off of that section, I think is just really important, especially, for lots of different reasons. I won't go into my laundry list of things, but it's working.
And we can... Yeah, no, thank you, Chloe. I mean, we can definitely, we'll continue this debate. Blackstone Franklin Neighborhood Association supports all members of the community. So we walk this tightrope of dog owners who like leashes, dog owners who don't like leashes, non-dog owners, people with young children. We're trying to advocate for everybody and be balanced. So all we can do is try and facilitate that. So Faiza, we're not expecting massive change, but we do see something positive coming this summer. But the pandemic has definitely helped.
This is definitely good feedback that, that I will also share with Parks Department, because for years, we've also been very conscious to say, this is communication and this is working with the Friends group and this is working with the neighborhood association. This is not one group dictating to another. It's all about how folks share a public resource. So I just want to make sure that, now it took a while to get the signs up. Now that the signs are up, just to see, temperature check of whether people are actually following through and they kind of understand what the purpose of that is. And it's not a, something that people are resistant to.
Agree completely.
And I'm sorry, this is Ryan. Hi, everybody. I think I've met.
Hi, Ryan.
I think I've met at the Christmas sale, the tree sale,
yes,
the wreath sale.
Yes.
I've seen your dog. I know Jonathan. I've met Corey and many others on here. So nice to see you guys remotely. This might be off topic right now, so feel free, and I'll be quiet because I just feel like I need to say it though if we're talking about the park. There's a lot more other issues that are going on right now besides the human quadrant. I live right at one of the corners and definitely seen a couple of sexual acts being given from a male to a female. If we could get more into details, I don't really know if we need to, but between 911 and 311, it just seems to be getting a little bit worse. So I feel like if we're actually talking about the park, I know the human quadrant's an issue. I just want to make sure we're also acknowledging the other issues, and if it's not the right forum by any means.
Ryan, we agree.
Okay.
So we were waiting for, no, absolutely not off topic at all. We are hopeful that City Councilor Anissa Sabi-George will be able to join us. And that is, so we just moved that agenda item to the end. It's more part of the, no. Thank you for bringing it up. Anybody else? So moving forward, we wanted to just give you a couple of, so obviously
Hey,
we're
Tony,
all
sorry,
trying. Yes.
I meant to, I was on mute. I would say there was a question from Mercedes on one of the topics here on Tidy Up Tuesdays. And
Hi, Mercedes.
she was asking what time they are. So they are every other Tuesday. They start at 5:30 p.m. And the next one is Tuesday, September 22nd. So we'll meet in Franklin Square Park. We provide gloves. We have these pick sticks, which are really wonderful, so you don't have to bend over and grab anything. We have trash bags, and it's oddly satisfying to pick up the trash as somebody who's done it a number of times. So definitely come out. You'll see myself, you'll see Tony, you'll see Matt Muse. There'll be a representative there from Blackstone Franklin Square. We'll get you set up. 30 minutes, whatever you can contribute is greatly appreciated, and it does make a big difference. So every other Tuesday at 5:30 p.m., we meet in Franklin Square Park. The next one is Tuesday, September 22nd.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anything else? We want to segue into what we've learned with working with our city councillors, many of whom are on this call, and Fazer and Corey, just how we've made friends with our partners. We really just wanted to give advice. This is not really advice for this neighborhood association, which I feel is very in tune, but as we work together on these issues with, you know, the opioid crisis, what we have learned is we have a few tips for anyone posting on social media, for anyone trying to do anything to affect change in our neighborhood, given the COVID-19 crisis, is try to, Jonathan, help me out. You can do the slide much better than me. Try not to be emotional. Factual advocacy is best in the way you are reporting issues. Seth's here. You know, a reporter should do this update. Also, avoid shaming or sending photos of human suffering or indignity, even if it's on your doorstep, even if it's at your front door. I know it's frustrating and upsetting, but your backlash will be instant and opposite, and it'll neutralize your message, right? So that's advice that we would like to give to anybody who is asking, and people have been asking, which is why we've put this little list together. And anybody can debate this, so please do. Form constructive relationships with officials. Try not to instantly fight about the issues. I know it takes a long time to affect change. We've all been here for a very long time. A powerful collaboration strategy, which really works, is letters of community support. So really try to get a concise message across, participate, attend meetings, try to get the whole story together with your neighbors so that we can be a lot more decisive and clear about what our issues are. Does anyone want to add to this list or feel like this is a conversation that they want to have right now?
Could I weigh in briefly on that?
Sure. Councillor Flynn, please do.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Jonathan said. You know, there's so much negativity at times on social media and Facebook, but adding to the negativity and not, you know, getting involved in your neighborhood organization or getting involved in your community really defeats the purpose. With COVID-19, we have a lot of challenges in the city, obviously, but the only way we solve the problems that we have is working together as a community and as a city as well. And, you know, but the social media can divide people and can hurt people. And during this difficult time, it's about coming together and you know, focusing on what we can improve in how we treat each other is equally as important. So that's just my 2 cents. And
thank you, Councillor Flynn.
Just thought it might be helpful. Thank you.
It is. Anybody else? Okay. Short and sweet. Just a few little tips if you wanted them. So, to add to that, we really are excited to partner with the Roxbury South End Community Partnership. So every Thursday, we go out to Mass Ave and Washington Street. And the purpose of that is bring your signs, and we really want to reach out to Governor Charlie Baker and try and get much more attention to the issues on Mass Ave. It's hard to see the suffering. I'm sure you all agree, despite how much it affects you as maybe a neighbor. Also seeing the conditions under which people are living on Mass Cass, it's getting more and more serious by the day. We believe that by partnering together again, we can unify our voices and just get much more clear about what our message is in the neighborhood. Does anyone want to comment or have any suggestion on our Thursday evening meetings, demonstrations, corner Mass Ave and Washington?
Yes, I would like to. How are you tonight?
Who's
Frank,
that?
we're doing well.
Hi.
Good.
How are you?
Tony, it's Frank Baker. So in one of the hashtags, I see Challenge Baker. So does this organization have a pinpointed plan of how they're going to challenge Baker, like through the Mass and Cass Task Force and the working groups? We've been talking about methadone legislation. We've been talking about the Shattuck and hopefully, maybe trying to decentralize some of the services out of the area around Mass and Cass, maybe to challenge Baker around what are we doing with the Shattuck, those sorts of things. So like,
exactly.
What is the direction?
Yeah.
So,
or is there any direction?
If you'd
Jonathan,
like, I could offer some. Yeah,
yes,
I could
please.
offer some
Thank
commentary.
You. Thank you, City Councilor Baker.
Yeah, that's a great question. So just to make sure everybody understands, this is an organization that was formed outside of Blackstone Franklin Square that's comprised of residents from the South End and Roxbury. And I've been to some of the meetings and participated in some of the events. And what I'll say is that there's an understanding from everybody, I think, on both sides of Mass Ave that this is a really big challenge that we face when it comes to homelessness, the opiate addiction, drug use. It's a challenging situation for everyone, those affected, those that live here. And what the community organization has come to realize is that many of these problems have gone beyond the city, and they feel that the city is doing a lot to address them. There are the task forces in place. There's the Mass Cass 2.0 plan. But many folks feel like the problem and the conditions have grown beyond the scope of the city, not in just terms of the amount of activity, but also in terms of the people that are affected, many of which are not directly part of Boston or part of the greater Boston area. So what the organization is doing is trying to put together different ideas, different recommendations, different solutions that call for more state-level involvement, state-level activity to help enhance, to help coordinate with what the city is already doing and trying to do. So they've published a lot of their ideas and a lot of their plans on their Facebook group. You can find it, the South End Roxbury Community Partnership. But they are calling on state attention and state involvement. And I think there might be another person on the meeting tonight that's been part of some of these meetings that they want to chime in.
Hey there, my name is Anissa Buchanan. I'm one of the members of the South End Roxbury Community Partnership. I don't live near Blackstone or Franklin Square, but I do live on Union Park. So Jonathan pretty much summed it up quite well. it's just a community partnership uniting both sides of Mass Ave. And as we know, the homelessness and addiction related issues have become very pervasive within our two communities. So we're really calling on Governor Charlie Baker to pretty much identify with this, to act as if this issue is in fact a public health emergency, and to implement viable solutions. We have created a petition which outlines our short and long-term goals. And as Jonathan was saying, some of these goals call for direct state intervention, and then there's also still a city component to it as well. I'm happy to share that in the chat section as soon as I'm done with my spiel. But yep, we do have a change.org petition. Short and long-term goals can be found there. We also have a Facebook group, so if anyone wants to participate, by all means, feel free to join that group, provide your ideas. We also have a Twitter account for anyone who is social media savvy. So definitely it takes a village to implement change, good change with any community. So yeah, we're just hoping to get more attention, more awareness to the issues that are at large within our communities, and main goal is to get Charlie Baker to treat this as a true public health emergency.
Would it be
Thank
possible
you, Anissa.
Would it be possible to share that with myself and Councilor Flynn and whoever else would want to by email?
Oh yeah, sure. Can you
the long term and short term goals?
Oh yeah, sure. Can you actually drop your emails in the chat?
Sure.
Yes, yeah. Feel free to drop your emails in the chat section, and then
Anissa, could you also put yours there? Anissa?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah,
could you put yours there so that we can reach out to you, because we have all the councillors' contact details as well. So we'll make sure we hook you up with them. So thank you, Councillor Baker. That was awesome, and we'll make sure we get we build a relationship. I think Yahara's on as well, right, Anissa? Yahara is also on.
I am.
Hello, nice of you to join, and Domingo. I think he just joined as well. So thank you for joining.
For sure. So thank you, Flynn and Baker, for being here. I think that I've sent some emails. I'm not sure if you guys responded to the email that I sent to all of you guys as a collective, including the state officials, initially when all this started, regarding my mom's property of Wing Management, which is kind of initially what started this whole, collaboration between Roxbury and the South End. So like Anissa and Jonathan said, the objective of this group is to unify two communities that have been working in silos, also to kind of bring the content of some of the division that's happening between communities, because Roxbury, to some capacity, feels like they've been left out of the conversation, that there's been a lot of coverage on the South End side. And, we just want to make sure we bridge that gap. That's the top priority. So as Anissa and Jonathan said, the Challenge Baker hashtag is a reflective of, we are asking that elected officials, both on a city level and on a state level, to challenge Baker to declare what's happening on Methadone Miles / Mass and Cass a public health crisis as an emergency. And as many of the chants and things that came forward, a lot of people feel like they don't have any more time for litigation, that what's happening is beyond inhumane and unsafe for many communities, both of these communities, whereas, Nisa and some people, Ryan kind of expressed, there's, some sexualized behaviors and, things that we can kind of all know that we have that are happening. So with or without the visuals, we know these things are happening, but it's mainly that we're really asking for, elected officials to use their executive power to do something kind of like yesterday.
Thank you, Yahara. We really appreciate it. Steve Fox, I know you're also here. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to add? Sorry to put you on the spot. You might be muted and you might...
No, I'm delighted to join you all my friends from Blackstone Franklin, and great to see Yahira and everybody else here. I think that what we're looking at in terms of mass and CAS is probably the most challenging issue that we face as a city. I think that it's great that we're now cooperating in terms of getting groups together to both talk about solutions as well as demonstrate the problem. So I won't bore everybody with a whole lot of other information. Y'all understand what we're challenged with. One of the things that I did want to mention is that I think it's going to be important to bring our state representatives to this conversation because both Shattuck Hospital and Long Island are both going to require some help from the state. And I know that the partnership is interested in this. I know we've been interested in this as a neighborhood, a South End neighborhood. But I think bringing Erin Mickelwitz and John Santiago, who's been just terrific in all of this, as well as Liz Miranda from the Lower Roxbury neighborhood, to this conversation is going to be also critical. So the more we encourage our representatives, yeah, Sonia Chang Diaz, absolutely, Frank. You're absolutely right. So bringing all of these people to the conversation is going to be part of the overall solution. It's really important that we get all of our electeds on board with this and that they understand the importance it has to this community. So I'll stop there.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Jonathan, I saw lots of messaging. Is there anything else you want to bring up as I don't know if anyone's brought up anything in the chat.
No, I did a quick scan. I think we're good. Anissa had shared the Facebook group information for the South End Roxbury Community Partnership. All of the councilors and representatives on the line, I believe I've shared their email addresses. And I don't believe that there's any other questions. Steve Fox had said, just to confirm, the Challenge Baker hashtag is not directed at Frank Baker, it's directed at Charlie Baker. That is confirmed.
Yes, really important clarification.
Thanks, Steve.
Tony and Jonathan, it's Ryan again. I can't multitask with messaging on the side, so I'm really sorry. But for Councilor Flynn, I'm not a millennial. For Councilor Flynn and Councilor Baker, please join us on Thursday. We're there at 6 p.m. I think I might not have been the only one from Blackstone Franklin Square there on Thursday, but I know Corey was there. I know Corey lives in Harrison, right? But join us. We picked up a bunch of needles. We care about people. We care about our neighborhood. We would love you all there if you can join and really just help the cause. So enough said, and sorry I'm not more techie with the side messaging.
Thanks,
I'll go on mute now.
Thank you so much. Okay. Can we pivot very quickly? Because, this is all about activism. And so it's not only people that need our help, it's also trees. So we just wanted to point you to a recent article in the Globe, which might look like the trees are safe on Melnea CAS. They are not safe. We just wanted to make sure we could give you a heads up. The title says, City Backs Down Plan, Remove Melnea CAS Trees. We just wanted to clarify, it still is something, please keep on your radar, that we could lose 100 trees, more than 100 trees on Melnea CAS. Read the article. I don't want to make sure, I just want to make sure that as an activist, if you care about trees, this is something you should get behind and be watching. And that Kim Janey is introducing an order for a hearing. In other words, they are putting a pause on their plan in order to discuss the hundreds of trees on Melnea CAS. The trees are not necessarily safe at this time. Okay? Questions?
Tony, if I may. The meeting, I just came from a meeting. The city of Boston just hosted a meeting about, I don't know, an hour before this meeting began about the Melnea CAS trees. It is all currently on pause. They're going to do a full reevaluation of the design, the environmental impact, and they're going to be sure to really kind of augment their community reach to make sure that they
awesome,
can
Corey.
feel like they haven't been engaged before. So if you do have any interest in this project, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll make sure that you guys stay connected. Also keep an eye out. The BTD will be reaching out to folks and they'll be doing some more outreach.
Wonderful, Corey. Thank you. Put your contacts in the chat, or Jonathan will. Just so that people can reach out to you. Thanks, Corey. And if you want backstory, we can obviously talk about it. But I just care about everybody's time. And here is City Councilor Frank Baker and Faiza Sharif, who have done an epic job of progressing this conversation about cameras. So I want to hand over to City Councilor Frank Baker.
Thank you. So I have an email here from Sean Romanowski that lays out the actual time frame on this. Would you like me to read the time frame on it, or is there anything else, something else that you'd rather?
Sure. I mean, I'm just going to put the picture up so that people can look at it and get an appreciation, and you just speak to whatever update we have at this moment on the progress of this project.
Perfect.
Thank you, Councilor Baker.
For those of you that are not familiar, this is probably, I don't know, maybe 4 years in the making. Faiza, thank you very much for all the work you did on this. Councilor Flynn, thank you for the support that you were there helping with the vote on the city council. Steve Fox, I think it was Steve and I and some other people that walked this. When was it, Steve? 4.5 years ago, 5 years ago. So to finally come to fruition, this is government moving at breakneck speed here. So a statement of work, which is what Sean Romanowski will put together for this plan. Statement of work to go to City Hall purchasing no later than September 18th. Purchasing and posting for bid will be between September 21st and October 2nd. Awaiting a PO, a purchase order for September 25th to October 2nd. This can vary a little bit, and the award to the vendor will be based on bids received by October 2nd. The notice to proceed should happen around October 5th, which they'll order the vendor will receive the equipment around the 5th to the 16th of October. Installation should start October 19th. And the installation completion should be around November 13th. And I should just say this is all kind of, this would be best case scenario. We could potentially tack on a week or two here and there, but basically this is telling me we should have our camera plan by the end of the year. So I don't know if there's any more that we want to get into. Faiza, if Faiza wants to add anything, or Councilor Flynn wants to add anything. This has been a lot of work, but I think it's going to pay dividends. Will at least, and these cameras are not cameras for, we're not surveilling anyone. They're cameras that will just be there in case we ever need to consult them. It's not for any sort of investigations. They could be used for investigations. They will go back to the police cameras, so the police will have access to them.
I have a question. Faiza, anything you have to say?
No, the only thing that I would add is, thank you to all of you who have stayed on top of this issue for years, and for, Councilor Baker really working with BPDA, working with BPD, working through the council on this issue. It was an administrative hassle, and I'm sorry that it took many months to even get to this point. But I do think that we're incredibly lucky that you have folks that are as dedicated as Councilor Baker and Councilor Flynn to real constituent services and following up on all of these nitty-gritty issues to getting us across the finish line. And Councilor Baker, I don't want to couch it with, hopefully by the end of the year. My goal is by November, these are in. want to stop talking about cameras. I want us to, you know, have things that are functioning infrastructure in our neighborhood and be able to mark this off as done, moving on. And I think Captain Sweeney would be really excited about this.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to echo what Faiza said. I want to say thank you to Faiza, and I also want to especially say thank you to Councilor Baker. He really did a ton of work just following this through so many steps, so many hurdles. But Frank never gave up on it, and he's like he was determined to get it done, which he did. So I want to say thank you to Frank and the South End residents for making this a reality.
And Councillor Flynn, I'll also add you to the thank you list. I didn't realize, Councillor Baker said you were also very instrumental, so thank you very much for your help in this as well. So Faiza, Councillor Baker, Councillor Flynn, thank you very much for your help.
But I don't want to, Frank really did 99% of the work. I had a little bit to do on the council, but it was really Frank that carried the ball the whole way for the
Okay. The question I have is, will the cameras also have like a giant blue sign? Just because we don't necessarily want to catch crime, we want to prevent crime. So we want that big blue sign that says police camera. It's almost like I just don't want anybody to commit the crime in the first place. So is that part of the installation, is to say this is a police camera, the zone is being monitored?
I can't say for sure, Tony, but I'm sure, well, I think we have 20 or 25 cameras going there. I'm sure some of them will be those larger boxes with the big police insignia on
yeah. Because we just don't want the crime, right?
I think that's something that came up also in the last meeting that both Raul from BPDA and Sean were at for Blackstone Franklin, and they were pretty clear that it's going to be BPD cameras. They're going to be blue, they're going to be unmissable, to hopefully act as a deterrent, so folks know that, you know, that the
Thank you. That's great. Any other questions from anybody?
Probably just more for a confirmation. This is Jonathan. The cameras are designed to be accessed retroactively, correct? To use in the investigation of a crime or an incident versus live feed?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I think that's an important thing for people to understand. That was my understanding as well, so thank you for confirming that.
I have a few questions. So how will citizens request access to the camera footage if a crime is in fact committed? Is there a system or process in place yet, or is that still a work in progress?
I think it's standard BRIC policy. I don't know. There's no special, Anissa, I'm not sure that this is any deviation from any police camera monitoring that they currently do. So the IT department is called BRIC. And they if a crime is committed and you report a crime, the Boston Police Department go to BRIC, get access to that time frame, and then can get that footage. I don't think that's public domain property. I don't know, Faiza. Anyone can tell me if it's not for the citizens to look at the footage, right? It's to make sure that
Oh yeah, that was my assumption. I was just wondering if like a crime happens, does the citizen have to go to Boston Police Department and tell them like, oh hey, it happened here? I just wasn't sure what the normal process is.
That would be part of the policing. They would know based on the address if something happened at your address, they would be able to consult those cameras.
Okay.
I don't think you as a citizen would necessarily need access to them. I think if you needed access to them and it were sensitive, you could always do a I don't know if you would need to, but you could always, if you're being denied, do a request for information. But I don't think that,
Councilor Baker.
Yeah, I don't think that camera film will be available unless you subpoena it if it's something that's sensitive.
Okay. And then if cameras are broken or just taken down by random people, how will those be reported?
I would think that they would know. I would think that they would know based on the camera footage that they got ripped down, and it would be part of the infrastructure.
Okay. That makes sense. I don't have any other questions.
Thanks, Anissa. Anyone else got any questions?
Councilor Baker, I live on one of the corners. I think one of those little pinpoints is, I live in an alley. My entrance to my doors in an alley, and lots of things go on out there. So thank you for your help with the cameras. I know a lot of the times, even with our own neighborhood cameras or individual citizens cameras, people will spray paint them out before the act of whatever, it's sexual violence or whatever it might be takes place. I don't care about the criminals, I just care about safety of people. To Anissa's question earlier, if people are spray painting out cameras and then something happens, is there a way that the camera can sense it? Or I just want to make sure that you invested all this effort to get us to this place, which is amazing. I just want to make sure now we can, you know, have the cameras do what we all want them to do.
Well, the cameras are probably 15 feet in the air, so you'd need, you know, you can't stand there and just spray it. So you'd need an
There's a big
extension.
fence, at least in my alley, that they've done it too.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but just thinking of what I've seen happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a sort of, as that happens, I think, I haven't heard of that ever happening, but I think
Okay.
as it happens, we would have to, you know, address it as soon as we could.
Ryan, this is Steve Fox here. Hey, the cameras that are privately owned, that are situated at a location where they're susceptible to being spray painted, are different from these cameras that are located way up on poles. So while it is a problem where, you know, some homeowners have actually installed cameras that have been blacked out or taken down, these guys are really way up in the clouds. So it's really hard unless you're a trapeze artist, you really can't get to these cams. So not to worry about these guys, all right?
All right, thank you, Steve. And I think the only reason people like me install the cameras care about people's safety when you hear stuff going on in the alley, and we're waiting for the city cameras so we can take down our cameras and thanks, Steve. I'm glad they're up high and safe.
I have one more question. Sorry, another one came to mind. But after these cameras are in fact installed and working, has the group thought about maybe implementing some type of retro or post-mortem meeting to see how well the cameras are working, and if there is in fact a decrease in criminal activity or just crimes in general in the neighborhood, if like the cameras are doing the job essentially of deterring crimes from taking place?
Jonathan, you can speak to, I think Captain Sweeney will keep us very well informed on the success rate of those cameras, correct, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know in one recent example with a shooting that was on the corner of East Newton and St. George Street, right where I live, it would have been helpful there to retroactively go back and look at. So they plan to use these where they're needed, and
feedback.
As we get feedback, we will share it. So absolutely.
Great, thanks.
Thank you so much, Councilor Baker. Okay. Is Emmie Lindholm on? Emmie?
Yes, I am.
Oh, how wonderful. So we'd like to introduce you to our friend and neighbor, Emmie Lindholm. And Emmie is a fifth grade teacher at Blackstone School. And we just wanted to get an update on how you're doing, Emmie, how the kids are doing, and just introduce yourself and welcome to our community.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. So, yeah, I am a fifth grade teacher at the Blackstone. This is my second year there. I love the school. I love the students. I really, really love this community. And wow, I did not expect to be starting my school year like this, that's for sure. I think in the spring, right, my fellow 5th grade teachers and Blackstone teachers really it was all hands on deck to do what we needed to do to make sure we could finish out the school year strong. And then there was a lot of hope that we would be back in our classrooms this fall. But I kind of came to terms with that in, I would say, late July, early August, that we would not be going back. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It's kind of thinking about, how do I change the educator that I am to make sure that I'm now the best educator I can be for my students. But I must say that I've been talking to some of my 5th graders. They officially start on Monday. I have been in trainings last week and this week with all other BPS teachers, but kids come on Monday and they're really excited to start school, even though we're still virtual. So that gives me hope and excites me for the year as well. But I'm happy to take any questions you have. I can really speak for as long, I can keep on going about how much I love this job, because I truly believe I have the best job in the world, no matter where or how I'm teaching, but I'm happy to take any questions that people might have.
I have a question.
Go, Yahara. Yahara, go.
I'm sorry, guys. So I know that, again, I'm so happy to see the elected officials in this space, and thank you for inviting us. I do have a question, and it's probably more directed to kind of like electeds, or even what Boston Public School staff. Is there any conversations around safety measures, seeing that the Comfort site has been closed on Mass and Cass, and how this is going to impact the schools within this vicinity? And I think Domingos, I don't know if anybody else can answer. I think there's about 6 schools in this vicinity. And I think that for students that might be doing the hybrid learning model, that there's some going in, some, some are remote. Is there any conversation within the Boston Public School sector around taking extra, safety measures to keep students safe while they're walking to and from school?
That's a good question. From what I know, or from what I've been told at other trainings this week, we're really looking at like how we're making sure students are safe within our school building, and how they're going to get from our doors to where they need to be. I know that we're still waiting on the PPE to be delivered, which is kind of making some teachers nervous because it is right around the corner. But I know my classroom is a ground level classroom. So even before the pandemic, there were times where community members were trying to use it as a type of shelter because it's more guarded. And I definitely think about how that will be, especially if my windows need to be open for more air, and what that's going to look like. But that's a really good question, but I don't think I can speak to exactly how the city and community is handling that.
And Emmie, you said you're going virtual on Monday. When do you think students will be back in the classroom? Are you back in the classroom doing virtual for the kids, or is anybody in the school building that we're talking about at the moment, or when is that expected to start happening?
So my principal and administrator and our support staff in the office have been there for a few weeks, and they're working from school. I will be going in on Friday to completely redo my classroom. I still have like my objectives up from March on the walls, so I have to take those down and take everything off the walls, and then replace the desks so they're 6 feet apart. And then I don't have any students who are considered high risk, which are the first wave of students to come in. So they would be coming in October 1st. So that's when the first students would get into the Blackstone. I personally won't have students until November 5th at the Blackstone.
Hi.
But the question is still good, Yahara. You're asking, is there some, is the city concerned, and is there any extra kind of, I guess, security around schools that are affected by any of the pandemic side effects, right?
Yeah, just kind of seeing, because as a group of us, that we're kind of not thinking just as like this South End Roxbury partnership to be specifically just kind of tailored around, you know, having elected officials and, you know, on both on a city level, on a state level, but we're also thinking about the need of, you know, Boston Public Schools, just, you know, Department of Ed, Department of DDS, DMH, and all those entities that kind of play a role in this conversation. But seeing that we're, you know, school's about to start, I think that I know Domingos and I and a few parents on the other side of Roxbury are raising a lot of concerns around safety measures for students that are walking to and from school. And I think we also have a parent, which Domingo brought to the space, who also works for Boston Public Schools. And she, you know, she discussed about some safety measures about going to and from her car. Because, you know, when the fall comes in, it gets dark pretty early. And some teachers are in buildings past 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case, you know, now. But we know that realistically, most, you know, as a former Boston Public School employee, I know sometimes I was in the building till like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening.
Hi guys.
Chime in on that a little, or if you want to go, Domingos, then I can speak.
No, go ahead. You're in thought. Go ahead. No problem.
Thank you. So I was a couple minutes late. Sorry, I was on the phone, and I know I was on a Zoom call with Cathedral High, which I know they're not Boston Public, but I've been working with their athletic department for a little while now, just because their season is closed and they're having similar concerns. Granted, they're not utilizing the fields the same capacity, but they literally walk down Washington Street, past it to get sometimes towards Mass Ave, to get to Carter Park, which is just on the other side of Mass Ave, and up on Columbus. So we were having a similar discussion about like when they are able to come back to using fields again in a different capacity, or if they're trying to keep kids active, what does that look like going into winter / even into next year if things are at this capacity? Because they're like, are we going to have to bus people, and what does that cost look like? Because they're worried about, you know, young kids walking from Cathedral over to Columbus, or to Carter Park. And I think that raises a really good point. And for those of you who don't know me, I have Bar 3, which abuts basically the park. With our neighbor Stella gone, I think that's going to be a really interesting corner going on. And us probably minimally, honestly, having classes. I can tell you that we always had buses at the end of the day from, and I've brought this up before in other community meetings, at the end of the day around like 4, you would see the buses coming, or 3:30. And that was also sort of witching hour. And I hate to put it that way, but it was like when social services were, I don't know if that must be like a break time where nobody's allowed in, but it's a scary time. And it's the time that all the schools get let out. And it definitely, something needs to be addressed. Like, I don't know if we need to have like a more social presence at like 4 p.m. in the park somehow, but it's going to be a very, very strange winter right there, with it getting dark and there not being as much activity on our block and kids having to walk home or whatever it is, because that was always the hour when I would see questionable behavior from adults and these poor kids getting let out of school at the same time. It's like poor planning on our city's part.
Thanks, Jamie. Nice to see you. So, Emmie, is that your experience as well? And Domingos, we're going to come to you next. I just wanted to get Emmie's take as a teacher. Do you also feel that 3 to 4 p.m. is like you're very alert at that time?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I typically don't leave the school building until like 5:30 or 6.
Okay.
So yeah, but I know when we do dismissal, it is something that that we are concerned and thinking about when we're getting students on buses. But pre-pandemic, parents were picking students up right away, and what that would look like. But I agree with what Chloe said. I don't think it's being discussed right now in BPS. And to be honest, I think that's because a lot of other measures are being discussed and are being addressed before students are going to be in the school building. And that might be why it's not being addressed right now. Not to say that it should be addressed. But no, I don't think it's being addressed by BPS.
It's not a priority right now. Okay, got it. Thank you. Domingos, sorry,
Hi, everybody. Thanks
turn.
for having me. I was just listening because, I'm not familiar with the group. I just wanted to see what was going on.
Welcome.
Can you guys hear me?
Welcome, friend. Yes, welcome.
Thank you for having me, guys. So, a concern, not just for, the Roxbury side, because like I said to everybody, I'm not in this for just a particular neighborhood. I'm in it because it's a citywide issue. Is the fact that, the numbers have tripled in Boston as far as the individuals who are occupying the space in the area. And my concern for all the children in the schools, from McKinley Tech, the Blackstones, the Mason, the Orchard Garden, Madison Park, and so forth, is that these spaces are occupied by individuals at night. And then during the day, the children who uses the space, it's not sanitary for them. It's coming to a point where if you do go into these spaces between the hours of 7 p.m. to about 7 a.m., there's a lot of activities going on. So my biggest concern is the fact that the sweeping of the area before students arrive, during the school, and after school. I know that, some schools are going to be using the outside space for classrooms. I've asked in another group if schools are planning to do that in BPS. They don't have an answer. So, just food for thought is something that we can bring up on different in different groups because they need to have this and have a plan. It's going to be very tough for any student that goes to the Blackstone that's in walking distance to be able to navigate through what's going on in the area. Not only that, but the numbers of bike patrol is not done frequently. So maybe that's something that you can talk to your captain in the area. Maybe during the release time, they can have those individuals come out and do a sweep of the area before school's let out, or even before school let out or before school arrives, because that was a big issue at the Mason and Orchard Garden last year and the year before, where they were making these camps. And then when students were arriving at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, individuals were still camped out in the school ground.
Thanks, Domingos. That's a great suggestion about bike patrols. We will speak to city officials. We will speak to Captain Sweeney and see if, the limited bike patrols that there are, if they could just be very conscious and prioritize the kids in the neighborhood. Any other takeaways?
I think it's really great to hear that there's seems to be an echoed sentiment that both sides here want to see more feet on the street, more presence, and the bike patrols in particular. So I think it's good, Domingos, that you brought that up, because that's something that in this neighborhood also we feel, as well as others. So we're going to continue to push that, and I know that's something that Captain Sweeney wants as well. So.
Yeah, Jonathan and Domingos, I just wanted to respond. I agree with you 100%. It's critical to have, the bike patrol plays a major role and is very effective. Captain Sweeney's an excellent captain. But having police in the neighborhood, walking the beat, driving bicycles around, patrolling the area, having a physical presence that is seen is a critical part of it. And even during this debate that we're having, people on the South End, and I also represent downtown Boston, Chinatown, they want to see police in the neighborhood and continue to build up a positive relationship. So I'm glad you mentioned those comments. Those are helpful, and I'll pass that along as well to Captain Sweeney.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. If you could definitely continue this conversation, that would be awesome for us.
Thank you.
Jamie, thank you too for bringing that up. Jamie, anything you want to say about, business and the opioid crisis? How are you doing? And then Emmie, we're coming back to you. Emmie, you're Jamie's neighbor. If you haven't met, Jamie owns Bar 3 right next to you at the school. So hello, guys. So you have a friend, Emmie, and then we'll come back to you, Emmie.
As of now, while weather is decent and there's a lot of activity and people are, I think, trying to take the advantage of it while we can, we're doing okay. I will say that you'll see us rotate the quadrants in our park classes, sometimes still based on what we encounter when we go in the quadrants. My team does go out and takes gloves with them and bags and cleans up, like the instructor teaching cleans up the immediate quadrant before they teach. We have found stuff to be expected pretty much almost every time, to be honest. Luckily, most of our clients are pretty patient and understand this square as well as,
Thank you, Jamie.
So I think that that's been almost reassuring that our clients are not freaked out. We know it's a broader community issue. I think going into winter, it will definitely be a little bit scarier for all of us. Just, there's a lot less open in our neighborhood, right? And I think how restaurants and stuff are closed, it's gonna sort of enhance or amplify, maybe not enhance, but our attention on things that are more questionable and create more safety issues. So as of now, I don't think we're in any other situation that's super unique. Winter might be more questionable. So even if you guys just want to take nighttime strolls and make sure that our studio's okay and Stella's space is okay, because we're going to miss them, I would appreciate it. But yeah, we
will do that, Jamie.
They're dark corners, and I think that we'll find those going into winter outside of just our corner. So, but if there's other ways we can help you guys, I'm sitting on a couple community boards right now trying to figure out what the best tactic is. Let us know, because we're happy to try and create more energy and spaces that need it, just to bring life to them, to make sure that we're utilizing these green areas that we do have across the city well. So.
That's awesome, Jamie. Thank you. And we will definitely pay attention to your incredible business on the corner, on our cleanups. So thank you for doing your cleanups in the park. We really appreciate it. Emmie, any more questions for Emmie about BPS? I do. I would like to know, Emmie, when the kids come back to school, are the buses going to start up as well or not?
Yes. Students that need transportation will be provided transportation.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. Very selfishly, I have 2 kids. Any other questions for Emmie?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, Dorothy. Yes.
Yes, my question for Amy was, are they cleaning the schools?
Yes. So I know the custodial staff has been there since March doing deep cleans, and they are continuing to clean the schools, as well as providing cleaning supplies for each classroom. And then Wednesday will be one of the days they do a very deep clean. So the hybrid model is that students would be in the building on Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday a deep clean, and then another group of students on Thursday, Friday.
Okay, thank you.
More questions for Emmie? Jonathan, anything in the chat?
No, I think we're good. I think just some echoed sentiments around making sure that we can get, bike patrol, police walkthrough before, during, and after school. Keeping activity as positive as possible with foot traffic and events in our squares and around our corners, especially as we enter the winter season. And keeping up with the cleaning the best that we can, reporting things that we see through 311 or 911. That's basically a summary of what I see in the chat here.
Thank you. So now I think our agenda is open. So if anyone would like to just continue the conversation, I have a pen. I plan to jot down notes, and we will take any other community sentiments into our next meeting, which will be in November. And we will do follow-up with you. So please join our mailing group so that we can stay in touch with you, and please be involved with us. Please partner with us, Yahara, Domingos, all our new friends. We really love this community, and just all being on the same page, or at least sharing opinions in a constructive way, even if they're different, is exactly what we're after. Okay, so anything we should return to? Unfortunately, City Councillor Anissa Sabi-George could not join us today, but that's not to say if there are any remaining sentiments, any other business, let's just discuss it now for a few minutes and then wrap up this call.
Hey, it's Anissa. I'm going to summarize the BPS safety concerns for the kids, as well as the D4 bike patrol request, in just a follow-up email that I'm going to be sending to Frank Baker, Corey Asbon, and the rest of the emails that were provided in the chat early on in the meeting, and just sending that from the main South End-Roxbury Community Partnership email.
That's awesome. Thank you, Anissa.
Yep, no problem. I can CC others on that email too, if you'd like to be included.
Sure. Jonathan, can you put our email addresses with Matt and David? Thanks, Anissa. Anyone want us, I mean, obviously, Ryan, we can come back to the issue that you described, you know, your concerns about the squares. We all are completely on board with you, empathize with you. And we want to address this as a really big issue and a united front with all our new friends across Roxbury and South End. Ryan, I don't hear, why don't I hear Ryan? Is it just me? Has my mic gone?
Ryan, do you have headphones nearby? It might have connected to.
Jamie, that's so true. That's AirPods for you, hey? Anybody got anything else? And Ryan, you just jump in as soon as, I don't know. Councillor Flynn, Councillor Baker. Oh, Desi. Hi, Desi.
Tony, hi, how are you?
Good.
Hey, I don't want to stir the pot on the dog topic, but when we're thinking about in the context of trying to activate Blackstone and Franklin squares, one thing that I do hear from the parent, you know, I obviously have a 2-year-old, we're always looking for places to play where dogs won't try to steal our food or won't jump all over us. There are, as you know, many parents who would spend more time in those parks, but they end up going to Ringgold's because of the unfenced dog situation. So has there been any discussion about creating a dog park, like an actual fenced in dog park?
So we should do a presentation based upon the whole journey that we have taken to get to this point. Desi, we are celebrating the human quadrant. We have a much lower bar than you are setting right now. So the human quadrant is supposed to be the safest quadrant, and we are here to represent dog owners who love leashes, who don't love leashes. So we're trying to find a way to share that community space, and we need more and more solutions. We need to proceed with more and more solutions. One of the things that were proposed in our poll last time was, should we advocate, we can't enforce because the law is the law, those are leash parks, but should we advocate for Franklin Square being a leash park and Blackstone stays the way it is, and therefore the human quadrant in Franklin would be definitely a very safe place to play with Liam, with kids, with anybody. So what we're doing is we're just trying to share those squares as equitably as we possibly can, and make sure that the whole community gets to use them in a balanced fashion. I know it's not a great answer, but the reason we have a presentation which got us to this point, but we absolutely take your concerns to heart, that you are concerned about the safety of children and families with off-leash dogs that are not under the control of owners, and we hear you completely.
Yeah,
Anyone
exactly.
have
And what
anything
it's causing people to do, just to be clear, is it's causing people to go down to Waltham Street. So instead of having more children playing in the parks, which again, for the type of activity that we're all trying to, we want to encourage some activities, discourage others. We're, pushing people further into the South End when they would be happy. I mean, it's amazing how many people walk from Ringgold back to like the Toro area every night. So I think we're losing out on the potential to activate your area.
Agreed, Daisy. Agreed.
I'll also say, don't forget about Franklin.
Franklin is much more of a leash environment. So we want to advocate for that. Look, it's very hard. It's a very difficult situation, and we really do appreciate everybody's perspective. And just having the dog owners really share the squares is our first step to getting to a place where you can feel completely safe with your child.
Can I just add one thing about the Franklin solution? I just want to counter that just a little bit as the solution. I can see Blackstone Park from my window. So when I send my kids out to play at the park, I don't want to send them all the way to Franklin because they won't be able to see them. But my kids are older now. They're 11 and 12, and then I have a 7-year-old. But I don't want my solution to be that they have to go across Washington Street for.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think Chloe, that's
in there.
Yeah, that's
everyone's solution, and I don't agree with
it's I said that a little bit facetiously. Of course, it's everybody's personal level of comfort and prerogative on which park they frequent and where they send their kids to. But we do have 2 squares, and to echo Tony's sentiment, Franklin seems to be a little bit more of a leash on kind of park, whereas Blackstone seems to be a little bit more of a mix. But it is definitely a balance in terms of creating the right kind of positive activity, because dogs are positive, people are positive, and I think we're trying to deter some of the activity that had made a lot of people uncomfortable at one point in time. So, I think it's, as Tony said, it's one of those things where, we want to be sensitive to everybody and try to come up with a solution that's going to work for everybody, because it's a neighborhood that includes everybody.
Guys, can I offer just a quick couple of thoughts? I know we're coming to the close, but I'm a veteran of the dog issue, and I was also on the original dog ordinance drafting committee that came about like 15 years ago. I think that one of the problems that we may be having is the fact that we haven't been able to create norms that are enforceable within, certain parks. And I'm not talking just about Blackstone Franklin. I'm also talking about Sparrow Park and other South End parks. So I think it's worthwhile for us to begin to think about. I know that you guys have really tried very hard to work on a moderated arrangement that asks people to be cooperative for the human quadrant at Blackstone. But we continue to hear from people over and over again that may not be working because people aren't being as cooperative as we would hope them to be. I think that this is also an opportunity for us to take a non-pandemic, non-mass and CAS issue and to actually forge a solution. The folks on Beacon Hill were able to do it with a couple of quadrants that varied, and I think that it provides us with a good model for us to be able to open the discussion again. So I want to be respectful of people like Desi, who wants Liam to be able to go to a park and be able to use it without fear, but at the same time, there are some options out there that have worked, and primarily they work once you get the support and the cooperation of dog owners to enforce the rules. And that may happen as a result of trying to forge a more structured solution. So I would just encourage us to think about maybe an option to look at having a community discussion on this issue, and maybe find a way to create a compromise between what Boston Common has done and Peters Park has done. That there may be opportunities for us to figure it out. Just that's all I wanted to say.
That's awesome. That's a good way to wrap it up, because as soon as we bring up the dog topic, we do go down a rabbit hole. And I just want to say to everybody, I know every single person on this call has an opinion. I have an opinion. We all do, right? And I do think we need a meeting between everybody with an opinion, and we don't want anybody who hasn't got a stake in this to have to stay on the call much longer. But if there is enough energy for a whole discussion about the dogs and the dog owners, Ryan, can you get the dog owners to come to the meeting? We would love to all collaborate as a community and just see if we can take this one step further. One step, not this massive solution, but we want to go one step at a time. And to us, the Human Quadrant is our success story of 2020. Okay. And if it doesn't feel like enough to you, it's enough for us. We did a lot of work, and we pulled something off, and we're really happy with that. And we do want to take the next step. Steve, you will be there. Baron, you will be at our meeting. Everybody who wants to be at that meeting, we will make sure we advertise it and have a dedicated conversation about the next step towards collaboration in the squares. Okay, so please let's end the dog. Oh, Ryan's on mute, but she brought her friend. Thank you. So any other topics that we need to bring up at the next meeting before we wrap this meeting up for today? It's been just wonderful to have so many comments and so much contribution from this community. Anybody got anything other than dogs, which I know is a big one?
I just wanted to highlight, if I could take 1 minute, I have a couple of city council hearings coming up over the next 30 and 60 days. One of them is on infrastructure of the Boston water and sewer pipes. I'm going to focus on the south end, the Bay Village area, downtown area. I have a city council hearing that I'm sponsored with Liz Braden for next week. It's on pest control in illegal dumping. I know that's a concern, pest control obviously, but that's a big concern in District 2. And then my final one, I'm calling for hearing tomorrow on the impact on the HIV/AIDS, people living with HIV and AIDS during the coronavirus, and advocating for more public funding, public education awareness on that issue as well. So I have 3 coming up, and I'll certainly keep everybody posted on when they are, and I'll send out a message, but just wanted to keep you posted.
Thank you, Councillor Flynn. Those are great to have on our radar.
Thank you.
Councillor Baker, Corey, Fazer, anybody else? Anyone want us to bring anything else? Seth? Thank you.
Ed, sorry, Ed, could you share the link to the meeting? There was a couple of comments on that. Or is there a way? Is there a place people can go to find it?
Yes, we will send a link out, and we'll send an email to your group. Sophia is on the call from my office, so we'll make sure we get you the information.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you. This was an awesome meeting because of you. Everybody who attended today, you are participating in your community. So please don't just email, social media. Please participate. Please join us. Please collaborate, and let's solve all of these problems together. So really, really effective meeting, and we really will take all these comments into our November meeting. So thank you everyone for your time.
Okay.